Welcome back to another edition of the Forts Athletics Life and Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Charles Inferna. We're at Forts Athletics. We equip coaches and athletes with the tools they seek out in order to achieve their unique and specific goals. We are recording on Wednesday, November 2nd. Ooh, very sunny still. We're on our way home from school a little later in the afternoon. And today, well, first I want to say thank you to everybody that has been listening and following along to the last few episodes that we've shared on the podcast, Forts Athletics Life and Coaching Podcast, and all the new subscribers on the YouTube channel. I really appreciate that, Forts Athletics on YouTube. It's really cool just to see the community grow and the questions and the direct messages I receive. It's really nice when people engage with your content and with really just what you're putting out there as far as trying to help support and promote the sport of track and field and throwing specifically, and how we as coaches can better navigate and support each other in the ways we help and support our athletes. So thank you very much for listening and reaching out. I really appreciate it. And today I wanted to touch base about checking in with your athletes. Yesterday's episode, well, I guess it dropped today, so we're kind of like a day behind with recording and posting. But I talked about how we can help our athletes engage in conversation with regard to the yearly plan, right? When athletes have questions, which I enjoy when my athletes have questions about things, when they have questions about programming or why the schedule is the way it is and why the focus is where, and athletes ask questions, talked about a couple of strategies to help us as coaches be able to better, navigate that conversation when an athlete might have a question, either coming from a good place or maybe, I don't want to say aggressive, but we all have athletes like that, I guess, to a certain extent, where they just want to know because they want to know, and it's not maybe necessarily because it's to help them, but just to maybe be energy vampires and kind of pull out the positive energy that's happening with your team. So another way to navigate that is by having either weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, drop-ins or check-in conversations with your athletes. Something more formal than just having an aside conversation at practice, but not like a whole full-blown hour meeting about goals and life and things. What I'm talking about is a check-in where you're strategic about setting some time aside to work with an athlete or have a conversation with an athlete about where they think or how they think the season is going, where maybe they see some strengths in what they've been doing, and then maybe some things that they could do more efficiently moving forward to help support their own goal setting process. So I share that today because we had something similar at school. We had a few drop-in conversations, and I think when it's more structured and when the conversation is more focused and has an emphasis towards something that you might be working on in the classroom, in my case, or in the throwing circle or on the javelin runway, our conversations are typically about data, right? How are our students doing? What evidence do we have to support what we're doing? And what what do we need to do differently in order to help promote student cognitive and social emotional growth moving forward, right? So with our track athletes, we collect a lot of data, hopefully. Training distances, weight room, volume, personal bests on certain lifts, etc. And the goal, hopefully, is for those numbers to go up and get better, right? So training marks to get farther, maybe every week or 2 weeks. Weight room numbers to continue to get better, right? Maybe it might take a little longer to see that 5 or 10 pound bench press PR, or that 20, 25 pound squat PR, or just whatever you're measuring, right? Whatever you're tracking is probably what you're going to be measuring as a coach, and it's similar in school and in the classroom, right? So when you have your check-ins, hopefully you have some numbers with you that support whatever endeavors you're working on, either in the weight room or in practice, right? So as far as like training PRs, shared a video and a podcast last week about what to train and when. So we cycle different weighted implements, more so outdoor than indoor, but we do keep track indoor as well. For our men, we throw like 5K and 6K and 7K and 8, 9K hammers. For the women, we'll go up to, let's see, what do we have? 6 and 7K, all the way down to like 2K, right? So, and we keep track of things, right? Is the light hammer going maybe 10 meters farther than what the comp is, or is the 2 kilo heavier, not going as far, or maybe it's going less than it should, and whatever you're engaging. And you have your conversations with your athletes about what you've been keeping track of, and there's evidence to support what's happening and what they're doing. And the reason why I suggest like every 2 weeks or every month is because like every week, really difficult to gauge and collect that much evidence, right? So if you have 3 or 4 or 5 training sessions in a week, depending on where that athlete is in a cycle, maybe they're not going to have really good training marks, or maybe the weight room, it's not a 2-week block or what have you that you're looking to hit new personal bests or rep PRs. So you got to be mindful of what you're going to be sharing with your athletes, how you ask questions about just how things are going, right? But hopefully as a coach you do have some mechanism of collecting information, and that you're able to support your conversations with your athletes based on the data that you're collecting or have collected, and you have action steps that you could incorporate to move forward to better help your athletes get where they need to go. So that's it for this episode of the Force Athletics Life and Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Charles Inferna. Have a great day.